I feel very inspired by many things. Obviously nature, and we live in a beautiful place surrounded by mountains. One thing that has happened over the years is the number of people I meet. People come to commission something, perhaps to commemorate someone who's passed on, a favorite dog they've had for 14 years. One young woman had me paint her husband's black lab because he was about to leave this plane, and she wanted to give this to him as a gift. And I was so touched by that. I mean, we were a little weepy about that. Another instance was a gentleman, Bill, who was probably in his late 70s when he came into my studio with his wife, who was looking for something fairly traditional, and she liked the color and so forth, but he saw this big painting of Glacier Park with just teeming with animals and wildlife, all kind of wildflowers and mountains and so forth. And he said, you know, he said, I want to wake up to that painting every morning. He said, I'm going to put it over my bed. And he's still alive, by the way, and doing well. But I was very touched by that too. I am just as inspired by the people who come to me as I am by anything outside the windows here. When I paint wildlife, what I like to do is try to get the energy of the beastie. And for me, that says more about the wildlife than a very accurate rendition of it. So for those people who like realism, I think that's great, but I think photography does a darn good job of that myself. This painting is called Glacier Moose. So on this one, I'm thinking pretty carefully about where the shadow and light is. I have to think about how he's going to be a very dark, colorful moose, because the rest of this value is lighter and colorful. He's going to be more, not traditionally painted, because as you can see, but what I can do is layer color after color here and get darker and darker value by just putting that purple over the green, over the orange, over the red. So I've probably got already about 5 layers of color there to try to get that value, because the light is coming, it's going to hit this moose on this part of him and right here on his chest. And that'll be a very fun part to do. But right now I'm sort of thinking about where are the darkest values on that moose. For those folks who haven't seen me in the studio, who haven't visited here, please do come. But I wanted to share this with you to show you the painting process of how I go about it. This piece, for instance, this piece sort of started on the floor and then it came up to a drafting table and now it's on an easel. But quite frankly, if I'm about to do this moose, I would have it flat because I'd want to put some salt and some different things to get the texture of the animal. People ask me why I need to paint, and for me, painting is a meditation. It's a way for me to show up in the present, the now. I mean, a minute at a time. Sometimes the world is a very overwhelming place, and there are a couple things that painting does for me. It demands that I show up in the present with the brush in hand and the color on my palette, and just try to be present to that very thing. Plein air painting is wonderful for that too. The other thing is that I choose to focus on that which is beautiful in the world. And I think that's important to remember when things get you down. If you're not thinking about that which is beautiful and feeling grateful for that in your life, whatever wonderful things you have in your life, I think you're kind of missing the boat. If you can stay in what you feel grateful about, I think it's a much healthier place to be all around.